Working hard doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes it feels like a struggle just to get started or to keep going when things get tough. You know that working hard is important, but actually forcing yourself to do it, that's a whole different challenge. This isn't about waiting for motivation to strike or hoping you'll suddenly feel inspired. It's about learning how to push yourself day after day, even when you don't feel like it. In this script, you'll find clear and simple steps to help you build habits that stick, strengthen your focus, and create real progress. You'll learn how to set strong reasons behind your actions, manage distractions, create schedules that you respect, and push through discomfort with small wins that add up. You'll discover how to hold yourself accountable and surround yourself with people who lift you higher. Most importantly, you'll get practical tools for reviewing your progress so you never lose sight of where you're headed. This is about taking control of your own effort, making a choice every day to do the work required to improve your life. The process won't always be easy, but it will be worth it. By the end, you'll have a clear roadmap to force yourself to work hard in a way that feels natural and powerful. Stick with this, and you'll start seeing the difference in your daily habits and long-term success. Chapter 1. Build a clear reason that drives your actions. There's a reason why some people seem unstoppable. It's not talent, it's not luck, it's not even intelligence. It's clarity. They know exactly why they wake up early. They know why they push themselves when it's easier to slow down. They don't need to constantly force motivation because they have already made a decision. Their lives are built around a clear reason that drives everything they do. That clarity gives them an edge. It gives them focus, direction, and a kind of internal fire that doesn't fade when life gets hard. This chapter is about helping you build that kind of reason. Not a shallow goal or a temporary burst of excitement, but a deeper purpose that roots your actions in something solid. Every time you hit snooze, delay a task, or give up halfway, it's not because you're weak. It's because you haven't fully decided why the task even matters to you. Without a strong reason, you're only relying on willpower, and willpower burns out. If your goal is to force yourself to work hard, you need something stronger than willpower. You need a reason that speaks to you when no one else is watching. A reason that holds you up when you're exhausted. A reason that makes you keep going when results don't show up right away. That kind of reason doesn't appear by accident. You must create it. To start, ask yourself what you want from your life. Not what others expect. Not what looks good on paper, but what matters deeply to you. This isn't about fantasy or daydreams. It's about being brutally honest. Do you want freedom, respect, mastery, peace of mind, financial security? What outcome are you chasing when you say you want to work hard? Get specific. The more clear you are, the easier it becomes to move. Vague goals create hesitation, but specific reasons remove doubt. They give your actions meaning. Many people say they want success, but few define what success looks like. That's the first failure. If you wake up and tell yourself to work hard, but don't know what you're working for, your mind will always resist. Because the mind doesn't want effort for no reason. It wants reward. It wants purpose. So you must build a vision of what your life can become if you stay disciplined. Not in a fantasy way, but in a concrete, measurable, and emotional way. Close your eyes and picture your life if you did everything you said you would. Picture your health if you trained every day. Picture your income if you focused without distractions. Picture your relationships if you showed up fully. Picture the peace you'd feel if your days were structured with intention. Now do the opposite. Picture the pain of staying stuck. Picture the cost of your laziness. Picture the regret of wasted years. You need to see both pictures clearly, because pain and pleasure together create the fuel for change. It's not enough to just want better. You must be tired of the alternative. Once your reason is clear, make it visible. Write it down. Read it daily. Say it out loud when you feel tired. This reason becomes your standard, not just your inspiration, but your compass. Whenever you're tempted to slow down, you remind yourself what's at stake. Without this, you will always fall into the same traps. You will start strong, fade quickly, and wonder why you can't stay consistent. But when your reason is locked in your mind, your actions begin to change automatically. This is not about motivation. This is about identity. You must stop acting like someone trying to improve and start becoming someone who refuses to stay the same. Your reason must be strong enough to shift your mindset. If your only reason to work is to avoid guilt, you will give up. If your reason is built on proving something to others, you will burn out. But if your reason is built on becoming the best version of yourself, it will last, because it's not about external results. It's about internal standards. The truth is, discipline is boring. Results are slow. People won't notice your effort right away. But if you build your reason deep enough, you won't care. You'll keep showing up, because it's not about who's watching. It's about knowing you're moving in the right direction. That kind of self-respect is earned through action. Every time you honor your reason, you build trust with yourself, and that trust becomes strength. Some days your reason will feel far away. You'll forget what you're chasing. That's why you need to build systems to keep it alive. Create reminders. Put your reason on your wall, in your phone, in your journal. Every day revisit it. Not just when you feel lazy, but as a routine. You train your mind the same way you train your body. Repetition builds belief, and belief builds behavior. Now look at your current routines. Are they aligned with your reason? If you say your reason is to be successful, but your mornings start with 2 hours of scrolling, you're lying to yourself. If you say you want to be strong, but you skip the gym for excuses, your actions don't match your reason. That gap between what you say and what you do will always create frustration. Close the gap. Make sure your reason is strong enough to shape your behavior, not just inspire thoughts. Sometimes people say they don't have a reason to work hard. That's not true. They just haven't slowed down enough to find it. You must disconnect from the noise. Take a day. Turn off your phone. Sit with yourself. Ask what matters. Ask what you're running from. Ask what you're running toward. Until you answer those questions, nothing you do will feel urgent. But once you do, everything starts to make sense. The right reason gives your effort meaning. It gives your discipline direction. Without it, you're just guessing your way through life. Another way to strengthen your reason is to tie it to something bigger than yourself. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your legacy. Maybe it's helping others. When your reason includes responsibility beyond your own comfort, it becomes harder to quit. Because now, slacking off doesn't just hurt you, it impacts others. And for many people, that's the push they need to stay consistent. Selfish goals fade, but service-based reasons last. They grow with you. They push you beyond your excuses. You don't need to share your reason with anyone. This is not for the world. It's for you. But you must be honest. Brutally honest. Why are you choosing this path? Why are you reading this book? Why do you want to force yourself to work harder? Write that answer. Make it short. Make it clear. And make sure it's real. Because when things get hard, and they will, This reason will be the only voice worth listening to. Working hard is not about being busy. It's about moving with purpose. Anyone can fill their day with tasks, but not everyone moves with clarity. When your days are aligned with your reason, even boring routines feel meaningful. Even slow progress feels rewarding. Because now, you know where you're going. You're not just working hard to feel tired. You're working hard to become someone you're proud of. And that's the final point. Your reason must help you become who you truly respect. Not who others admire, not who your younger self wanted, but who you, today, want to be. Every person has a version of themselves they haven't met yet. A version that's sharper, calmer, stronger, more disciplined. That version is not found. It's built, and it's built by aligning your daily actions with your deepest reasons. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop thinking you need more time, more clarity, or more motivation. Start with what you have. Sit down, write your reason, make it clear, make it yours, revisit it every day. Let it shape how you work, how you think, and how you show up. This is the foundation. Everything else comes later. But without this, nothing will last. Work becomes empty. Discipline fades. Progress stalls. But with a reason, even hard days feel meaningful. And when you reach a point where quitting seems easier than continuing, you return to your reason. Not because it makes the work easier, but because it reminds you that the work matters. And when the work matters, everything changes. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop looking for shortcuts. You stop doubting your path. You just move. One action at a time. One step at a time. One decision at a time. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. And that's the power of a clear reason. It turns effort into direction, and direction into transformation. Chapter 2. Eliminate distractions that steal your daily focus. Distractions are not harmless. They are the silent killers of progress. They chip away at your focus one small moment at a time, leaving behind unfinished tasks, mental exhaustion, and the heavy guilt of wasted days. Most people don't realize how deeply distractions shape their lives until they've already lost too much time. If you want to work hard, if you truly want to reach your potential, you must begin by cutting away what does not serve you. That means being ruthless about what earns your attention and what doesn't. Every minute you spend distracted is a minute you gave away with no return. You don't need more time. You need fewer leaks in your day. Distractions are the leaks. They come in many forms: notifications, social media, random browsing, background noise, unnecessary conversations, and even your own racing thoughts. And while each one feels small, together they destroy momentum. The brain works best in long, uninterrupted stretches of focus. Every time you break that focus, even for a second, you pay a cost. Your energy resets, your thinking slows, and you lose your flow. If that happens 5 times in an hour, you didn't really work, you just floated through a fog of false effort. To eliminate distractions, you must start by noticing them. Be honest about where your time is going. Most people underestimate how often they check their phones, how often they tab hop on their computers, how often they break focus to reply to something meaningless. Track your attention like it's money. Because it is. Attention is the currency of results. If you waste it, your life becomes expensive with nothing to show for it. But if you invest it wisely, every focused hour pays you back in growth, in skill, in peace. You don't have to fix everything at once. Start small. Begin by identifying the top 3 distractions that ruin your day. The ones you go to when you're tired, bored, anxious, or avoiding hard work. Name them clearly, then remove their access. Not reduce, remove. If your phone is the problem, put it in another room during deep work. If social media is the problem, uninstall it. If your mind keeps wandering, write down the thoughts on paper and return to your task. You don't fight distractions by having more willpower. You beat them by designing your environment so they can't reach you in the first place. The best performers don't rely on discipline alone. They use systems, they set rules for their space and time. They build routines that protect their focus. They work in places that are quiet, structured, and free of temptation. You can do the same. Create a workspace that signals concentration. Keep it clean. Remove clutter. Turn off all digital notifications. Tell others not to interrupt you during specific hours. These boundaries are not harsh. They are necessary. They are a sign that your goals matter more than momentary pleasure. Time blocking is one of the most effective ways to guard your focus. Choose specific hours in the day when you will do deep work and make those hours untouchable. No phone, no internet browsing, no background media, just you and the task. The first few times will be uncomfortable. You'll feel the urge to escape. That's normal, but don't give in. Sit with the discomfort. Push through it. The mind eventually adjusts. The more you train it to stay with one task, the stronger your focus becomes. But if you keep allowing distractions, your brain becomes addicted to switching. And once that happens, even simple work becomes a struggle. You must also guard your mental diet. What you consume shapes how you think. If you fill your day with noise, with opinions, with quick dopamine from endless scrolling, you train your mind to be shallow. That makes it almost impossible to focus deeply when it actually matters. So be mindful of what you allow in. Read more, watch less. Reflect more, react less. Slow down the pace of your input so your mind can regain control. Depth cannot survive in chaos. Another trap to avoid is pretending that multitasking is productive. It's not. Switching between tasks rapidly doesn't make you efficient, it makes you scattered. You end up half finishing everything and mastering nothing. The brain is not designed to focus on more than one complex task at a time. If you want to make real progress, do one thing, do it well, and only move on when it's complete. That kind of focus builds excellence. Excellence builds confidence, and confidence fuels discipline. Some distractions come from your own habits. Procrastination often disguises itself as preparation. You tell yourself you're organizing your notes, researching more, or waiting for the perfect moment, but you're really avoiding the hard part. To eliminate this, make your starting process as simple as possible. Remove friction. Have your workspace ready before the day begins. Use checklists. Set timers. When it's time to work, there should be no decisions to make. Just action. Even people can be distractions. If someone constantly pulls you away from your goals, you must create space. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out. It means protecting your peak hours. The people who truly support you will understand. If they don't, that says something about where they stand in your life. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone should have access to your focus. Working hard means choosing what to say no to. Every yes is a trade. Make sure you're not trading your dreams for shallow approval. Your energy matters too. Lack of sleep, poor nutrition, and burnout all weaken your ability to focus. When you're tired, you're more likely to give in to distractions. So part of eliminating them is building a lifestyle that supports your energy. Sleep enough. Move your body. Eat clean food. Your physical state feeds your mental state. If your body is sluggish, your mind follows. And when your mind is slow, discipline fades. You cannot separate work ethic from health. As you begin to take control of your focus, you'll notice something powerful. Your confidence grows, because now you're not just reacting to your day, you're shaping it. You're not wasting hours on autopilot. You're using them with intention. That shift changes how you see yourself. You stop feeling behind. You stop feeling overwhelmed. You start to feel capable. Not because everything is easy now, but because you've built the strength to stay locked in. And when you slip, and you will, don't fall into shame. Distraction is normal in the modern world. But normal doesn't mean acceptable. When you notice yourself falling back, pause, reflect, ask why. Were you bored? Were you anxious? Were you avoiding discomfort? Use those answers to adjust. This is not about being perfect. It's about being conscious. You don't eliminate distractions once. You manage them every day. As your focus strengthens, your output will multiply. Not because you're working more hours, but because you're using those hours fully. 10 focused minutes are worth more than an hour of distracted work. So measure your day not by how long you worked, but by how present you were. That shift changes everything. You'll find yourself completing tasks faster, thinking clearer, feeling more in control. And that feeling becomes addictive in the right way. Because now you're not just surviving your schedule, you're owning it. The truth is, success is not about doing more. It's about doing the right things with full attention. Distraction steals that from you. Don't let it. Cut away the noise. Simplify your inputs. Build routines that support clarity. Train your mind to stay with one task until it's done. And when you do, the work becomes lighter, the path becomes clearer, and your life begins to move forward at a pace you can be proud of. Chapter 3. Create a strict schedule and honor it daily. If your life feels chaotic or unproductive, it's not because you lack ambition, it's because your days don't follow structure. Without a strict schedule, every day starts from zero. You wake up, and instead of moving forward with purpose, you spend your mental energy trying to decide what to do first. That indecision steals time. That hesitation creates disorder. You lose hours not because you're lazy, but because you didn't create a system to guide you. Structure brings freedom. When you know exactly what needs to be done, and when, you can put all your energy into execution instead of decision-making. A strict schedule is not about filling every minute with work. It's about giving every hour a clear purpose. Whether it's working, resting, learning or training, each block of your day must serve your long-term goals. If your time has no direction, your life will drift, and drifting turns into disappointment. The difference between a disciplined person and a distracted one is not motivation. It's clarity. A clear plan wins over a chaotic mindset every single time. That clarity must be created on purpose. Start by identifying what truly matters. Don't fill your schedule with what looks impressive. Fill it with what moves your life forward. This means cutting out low-value tasks and replacing them with the work that builds your future. If you have 10 things to do, but only 2 of them actually matter, your schedule should prioritize those 2 and remove the rest. High achievers don't do more. They focus better. A tight schedule forces you to confront your priorities. It forces you to stop lying to yourself about how much time you really have. When you build your schedule, be honest about your strengths and energy patterns. Don't copy someone else's system. Build one that suits your nature. If you think best in the morning, Protect that time for deep work. If your mind slows in the afternoon, use that for lighter tasks. Design your day to work with your rhythm, not against it. A schedule is not about being robotic. It's about being intelligent with your time. Smart structure beats forced productivity. And when you work in alignment with your energy, consistency becomes easier. Your schedule must include everything that matters: work, rest, health, learning, reflection. When you ignore one area, the others eventually suffer. If you don't plan time for sleep, your focus will collapse. If you skip meals or movement, your mood and discipline weaken. If you never pause to think, your work becomes reactive. A strong schedule balances effort and recovery. Don't wait until you're burned out to fix it. Build balance into your day on purpose. But none of this matters if you don't follow through. A schedule only works when you treat it with respect. That means showing up when you said you would. That means beginning tasks on time, even when you don't feel like it. Your emotions are not reliable guides. If you let your feelings decide your schedule, you will always default to what's easy. Discipline begins where preference ends. You honor your schedule not because it's fun, but because it keeps you aligned with who you want to become. It helps to view your schedule like a contract with yourself. Once it's written, it's not open to negotiation. If your calendar says it's time to write, you write. If it's time to train, you train. You stop asking whether you're in the mood. You stop entertaining excuses. You stop changing plans based on how the day feels. The more you treat your schedule as non-negotiable, the more power you gain over your time. And over time, that commitment becomes second nature. Some people will say that strict schedules remove spontaneity or joy. But that's only true when the schedule is filled with meaningless tasks. When your time is used to build what you care about, following a plan becomes deeply satisfying. You feel proud at the end of each day, not because it was easy, but because you stuck to something bigger than your comfort. That kind of joy doesn't fade. It stays with you because it's earned. A big part of honoring your schedule is planning it the night before. Don't wait until morning to figure out your day. Before you sleep, decide what tomorrow will look like. Write it down in blocks. Be specific. Know exactly what time you'll wake up, when you'll start work, what task comes first, when you'll pause, when you'll train, and when you'll stop. When you wake up, you should already know what the first 2 hours look like. That removes the mental friction that ruins most mornings. Use tools that help you stay accountable. A calendar, a timer, a journal, a checklist. Don't rely on memory. If it's not written, it doesn't exist. Visual reminders keep your goals in front of you. Checking things off gives your brain a sense of progress. And progress is what keeps you motivated over time. You don't need perfect days, you just need proof that you're moving forward. Your schedule becomes that proof. Even on hard days, stick to the schedule, especially on hard days. That's when growth happens. Anyone can work when they feel strong. It's the days you feel weak, tired, uninspired. Those are the days that separate average from exceptional. If you can train your mind to show up regardless of mood, you become unstoppable. That kind of discipline builds a character you can rely on. You stop fearing hard days because you know your habits will carry you through. And if you fall off track, don't wait until next week to fix it. Reset immediately. Review what went wrong. Adjust, then return to the schedule at the next available block. The power is in the return. One mistake means nothing. Quitting after the mistake is the real failure. Your schedule isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Miss a task, then make the next one count even more. That rebound mindset creates resilience. Every time you complete a full day, according to plan, take a moment to reflect, not just on what you did, but on how it felt, how your focus improved, how your confidence grew, how the chaos shrank. That reflection is critical. It anchors the discipline into your identity. You're no longer someone who hopes things get better. You're someone who shows up with intention. That identity shift is what makes habits stick long term. Don't wait for motivation to get serious about your time. Motivation fades. Schedules last. Decide today how you want to use your life. Then build a daily structure that makes it real. Don't give your best hours to distractions. Don't hand your day over to randomness. Take control. Create the plan. Then live it like it matters, because it does. Chapter 4. Train your mind to act without hesitation. Hesitation is the space where dreams die and progress stalls. It is the silent killer of momentum, the invisible wall that stands between your thoughts and your actions. When you hesitate, even for a second, you allow fear, doubt, and overthinking to take control. The moment you pause to question whether you're ready, whether it's the right time, whether you feel like it, you give your mind an opportunity to talk you out of doing what you know you should. To train your mind to act without hesitation, you must first understand that action is not something that waits for the perfect mood or perfect plan. Action is a muscle that is strengthened through repetition and deliberate commitment. The key to immediate action lies in deciding ahead of time who you are going to be. Most people let their feelings decide their behavior. If they feel tired, they delay. If they feel nervous, they avoid. If they feel unsure, they retreat. But your feelings are not leaders. They are signals, not commands. When you train yourself to act without hesitation, you are training yourself to lead your feelings instead of being led by them. You don't wait to feel ready. You become the kind of person who moves forward regardless of how ready you feel. You must stop negotiating with yourself when it's time to move. That 5 seconds of doubt is what kills your momentum. You must move before the excuses have time to form. If the alarm goes off, get up immediately. If a task appears, start it instantly. If you know you should speak, speak now. If you planned to write, write now. Your brain will always offer reasons to delay. But if you respond to that first internal cue with movement, you shut down the mental chatter before it gains power. Small decisions are where hesitation starts. If you train yourself to pause on the little things, making the call, starting the workout, opening the laptop, you condition yourself to wait, to doubt, to delay. And that habit of hesitation grows into every part of your life. But the opposite is also true. When you build the habit of immediate action, you wire your brain to associate decisions with movement. You become someone who moves fast, not recklessly but decisively. That kind of decisiveness builds confidence. You begin to trust yourself more because you see proof of your follow-through. Acting without hesitation does not mean acting without thinking. It means making decisions faster because you've already done the thinking beforehand. You've already decided your priorities. You've already built your standards. You've already removed the distractions. So when the moment comes, there's nothing left to debate. You act. You don't ask whether you should. You already know you should. You don't wait for the fear to go away. You act in spite of it. To make this practical, start using a rule for immediate action. Count down from 5 and move on 1. If your brain says do it, don't wait for a second opinion. Count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then move. This teaches your mind to link the idea to the action. It interrupts the habit of hesitation and replaces it with movement. Do this consistently, and you'll notice a shift in how fast you start things. You stop needing to feel good about the task. You just do it, and doing it becomes the reward. Another effective tool is to shrink the task into the first 2 minutes. You don't have to finish the workout. You just need to put on your shoes and step outside. You don't have to write the full report. You just need to open the document and type the first line. Once you begin, momentum takes over. Starting is the hard part. If you can get through the first 2 minutes without hesitation, you win the battle. And once that task is in motion, your brain naturally wants to finish what it starts. Remove friction from the start of every task. If your gym clothes are buried in a drawer, it becomes one more reason to wait. If your workspace is cluttered, your brain delays. Set up your environment so that action becomes the easy choice. Make your tools visible. Keep your space clean. Prepare the night before. The fewer barriers between you and the first step, the faster you will move. You are not lazy. Your brain is just wired to avoid difficulty. Your job is to remove the excuses before they arise. Track your follow-through daily. Each time you act without hesitation, write it down. This is how you build proof of discipline. The more evidence you have that you act quickly, the more your identity shifts. You go from someone who hesitates to someone who executes. And when your identity changes, your actions follow. Keep a log. Celebrate small wins. Momentum builds from consistency, not from intensity. One day of decisive action means nothing if you hesitate for the next 6. Show up daily. Move daily. Prove it daily. Don't expect perfection. There will be days when you freeze, when doubt creeps in, and you pause longer than you should. That's part of the process. The goal is not to eliminate hesitation completely. The goal is to reduce the time between thought and action as much as possible. Measure your progress in seconds, not outcomes. Did you wait 5 minutes before starting yesterday and only 1 minute today? That's progress. Honor that. Refine it. Build on it. Avoid the trap of waiting for motivation to move. Motivation is unreliable. It's good when it's there, but it cannot be your foundation. Discipline is what carries you through the days when you feel nothing. And discipline is built by acting first and thinking later. Don't wait for the mood to hit. Create the habit, and the mood will often follow. You don't train the mind by thinking about training. You train it by doing what's hard while your brain protests. When something matters, act before your mind has a chance to debate. That is how you take back control. That is how you lead your life instead of reacting to it. People who succeed don't have stronger emotions. They have stronger commitments. They act according to their decisions, not their doubts. They move forward while others stall. They train their minds by doing the work even when it feels wrong. And slowly their confidence grows from evidence, not talk. You must understand that the moment between thought and action is where your power lives. That space, that gap, is either your prison or your freedom. If you train yourself to move in that space, you win. Not just once, but over and over again. Because the more you move, the less power fear has. The more you start, the easier it is to finish. And the more you finish, the stronger your belief becomes. Discipline begins in the second you decide to act. And it is that second that changes everything. Train your mind to move without permission. Don't wait for comfort. Don't wait for clarity. Just move. Action creates clarity. Movement builds confidence. Start now. Chapter 5. Push yourself through discomfort with small daily wins. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is proof that you are on the edge of growth. The mind is built to avoid pain, delay effort, and cling to ease. But nothing great is built from comfort. The mistake people make is thinking they need to feel strong before they take action, but strength does not appear before effort. It is built through effort. It is earned by showing up, especially when it's difficult. If you want to make progress, you must stop waiting to feel ready and begin pushing through the resistance with daily action. That's why small wins matter more than anything else. They are the daily evidence that you can move forward even when everything in you wants to stop. Each small win is a reminder that you are not powerless, that discomfort is not permanent, and that you are always capable of doing more than you feel like doing. When you rely on motivation, you lose to your emotions. When you rely on willpower, you burn out. But when you rely on structure and the power of small wins, you gain control. Big goals are only achieved through small movements repeated daily. If you want to write a book, it starts with a single sentence. If you want to get fit, it begins with a short walk. If you want to change your life, you start by doing something uncomfortable today, not someday, not when it's easy, but now. The people who succeed are not the ones who avoid discomfort. They are the ones who learn how to keep moving through it. The only way to do that is by making discomfort normal, expected, and manageable through small daily victories. A small win can be as simple as waking up on time, making your bed, doing one more rep at the gym, finishing the task you were avoiding, or saying no to the urge to quit early. It doesn't matter how impressive the action looks to others. What matters is that you did something that stretched you just a little beyond what was comfortable. Over time, these moments compound. One win builds on the next. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. You trust your own effort. You build quiet momentum. The gap between who you are and who you want to be starts to shrink, and you realize that you don't need to wait for big breakthroughs. You need to keep stacking small wins. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they want progress without friction. They want change to feel easy. They want transformation without tension, but growth will always come with resistance. The mind will always look for the path of least effort. That's why you must push back every single day with deliberate discomfort. Start by doing one thing each morning that you don't want to do. That could be getting out of bed when the alarm rings. It could be finishing a task before checking your phone. It could be skipping the easy choice and doing the hard one first. These moments may seem small, but they shape who you are. You are not just completing a task. You are proving that you are stronger than your excuses. There will be no dramatic signal that tells you when you're making the right choice. In fact, most of the time, discomfort will make you feel like quitting. You'll feel tired, uncertain, and tempted to take the easy route. But that's exactly when the small win matters most. The hardest part is not doing the work. The hardest part is choosing the hard thing over and over again. It's standing firm in that moment of resistance and pushing forward anyway. That push, however small, is how you grow. And each time you do it, you make the next push easier. Your tolerance for discomfort increases. Your focus sharpens. Your discipline strengthens. Don't underestimate the power of consistency. One hard thing today followed by another hard thing tomorrow builds resilience far faster than one big effort followed by weeks of avoidance. The key is to reduce the size of the win until it's small enough that you can do it daily without fail. If it feels overwhelming, you'll avoid it. But if it's just enough to challenge you without breaking you, you'll repeat it. That's how habits are built, not by trying to do everything perfectly, but by doing one thing persistently. Discomfort is a signal that your comfort zone is being stretched, and that is a good thing. Most people try to escape that feeling, but you must learn to welcome it. You must teach your body and mind that it's okay to be uncomfortable, and that discomfort is not a danger, it is a doorway. Every time you sit with the unease and still take action, you shift your relationship with difficulty. You start to view it as useful, necessary, and even energizing. And the more you do this, the more powerful you become. The process of building self-discipline is slow and silent. No one will see the early mornings, the skipped temptations, the quiet wins. But you will feel the difference. You will begin to carry yourself differently. You will feel less reactive, more grounded, more capable. And it all starts by choosing discomfort today instead of comfort that keeps you stuck. Choose to do the hard thing because it teaches you who you are. This process does not require perfect circumstances. You do not need the ideal schedule or the perfect plan. What you need is the willingness to do something hard, something small, and something consistent. You need to push through just one excuse today. You need to show up when it would be easier not to. You need to make a promise to yourself and keep it, not because someone is watching, but because this is who you are becoming. Integrity with yourself is built through these small acts. And the more you keep your word to yourself, the less you depend on outside motivation. When you build a daily life filled with small, intentional wins, you stop waiting for transformation and start creating it. You stop looking for external validation because you know your own effort is enough. You build self-respect through daily choices. You create a life of meaning, not through grand gestures, but through repeated effort. And when the hard days come, and they will, you already have a foundation of discipline to lean on. You already know how to act in the face of struggle because you've practiced it every day. You will never completely eliminate the discomfort. You will never wake up and suddenly find it easy. But that's not the goal. The goal is to stop letting discomfort control you, to stop letting fear and resistance dictate your pace, to take control of your life by building proof, day by day, that you can act in spite of difficulty. You don't need to change everything all at once. You need to win today in one small way, and then do it again tomorrow. Over time, those wins become your identity. They become your strength. They become the quiet force that pulls you forward, no matter what. Chapter 6. Track your habits and never break the chain. Progress without tracking is often just motion without meaning. You think you're improving, but without clear evidence, you're simply guessing. The mind is easily deceived by feelings, and feelings are unreliable. One day you feel motivated, the next you don't. One week you think you've made progress, the next you feel like you've gone nowhere. That's why you must track your habits. Not just once in a while, not just when it's easy, every day. Because when you track your habits, you bring truth into your daily routine. You don't rely on emotion. You rely on facts. You see what you did and what you didn't do. You remove the stories and face the reality, and that kind of clarity creates power. A habit is not something you do once. It's something you repeat until it becomes part of you. But repetition without awareness can quickly slip into inconsistency. People often start strong and then slowly drift. They miss one day, then two, and suddenly the habit is gone. Not because they didn't care, not because they weren't capable, but because they stopped paying attention. The chain broke, and they didn't notice it until it was too late. When you track, you prevent that. You see every action. You catch the slippage before it becomes a collapse. You maintain momentum by respecting each link in the chain. The chain is simple. Do the thing each day, mark it down, and protect the streak. It's not about perfection, it's about continuity. Even a small effort, done consistently, becomes something powerful over time. Missing one day isn't fatal, but missing two often is, because once the rhythm is gone, the return becomes harder. It's not just the habit that fades, it's the confidence. When you keep the streak alive, you protect not just your progress, but your belief in your ability to follow through. That belief is what drives every long-term success. People often wait until they feel productive to take action, but discipline works in reverse. You act first, then momentum builds, and tracking creates that momentum visually. It gives you a reason to keep going even when you don't feel like it. You see the marks on the calendar, the check marks in the notebook, the tally on the wall, and you don't want to break it. You remember the effort it took to get here. You value the progress because you see it clearly, and in moments of weakness, that visible record becomes a source of strength. You don't need a complex system. You don't need fancy apps or long journals. You need something simple, visible, and easy to maintain. A wall calendar, a notebook, a habit tracker. One checkmark per habit per day. That's enough. Don't complicate the system, just commit to it. Choose a few behaviors that matter and track them without exception. Wake up time, exercise, reading, writing, work blocks, sleep routine. Choose what aligns with who you want to become and monitor it closely. What gets tracked gets improved. What gets ignored gets lost. There will be days when the effort feels meaningless, days when progress is invisible, days when the habit feels boring or the goal feels too far away. That's normal. That's the mind resisting discipline. That's the ego wanting novelty and ease. But those are the days when tracking matters most. Because when motivation fades, structure keeps you in the game. You don't have to wonder what to do. You just follow the system. And the system says do the thing, mark it down, and move on. One of the most underestimated benefits of tracking is the way it sharpens your self-awareness. You begin to see your patterns. You notice what times of day you're most consistent. You identify which habits slip under pressure. You discover how you behave when no one's watching. That kind of knowledge is priceless. You can't improve what you don't understand. Tracking gives you that understanding. It removes the guesswork and replaces it with insight. And with insight comes power. You might think the idea of never breaking the chain sounds rigid, but structure is not your enemy. It's your foundation. Freedom is not doing whatever you want, whenever you want. Freedom is the ability to control yourself in pursuit of something greater, and that control is built through consistency. One habit, one day, one checkmark at a time. The chain is not about pressure, it's about protection. It protects your future from your present impulses. It protects your goals from your moods. It protects your momentum from decay. Over time, the chain becomes a reflection of your character. Each unbroken day says, I did what I said I would do. Each link reinforces the story of discipline, resilience, and growth. And when you look back after weeks or months, you won't just see checkmarks. You'll see evidence that you can trust yourself. You'll see the invisible muscle of self-respect being built through visible action. And that is the kind of strength that lasts. You will face setbacks. You will have off days. But the rule is simple: never miss twice. If you fall once, get up the next day and restore the chain. Forgive the slip, but don't excuse it. Act quickly. Recommit immediately. Momentum is easier to maintain than to rebuild. Even a weak effort keeps the flame alive. Even a small action keeps the habit from dying. What matters is that you don't allow one break to become a pattern. This process is not exciting. It's not flashy. No one applauds you for tracking your habits. But that's the point. True discipline is quiet. It happens when no one is looking. It's a private commitment to public results. And those results come from repetition. If you track one habit for a year, and you never break the chain, you'll look back and see a life transformed, not because of intensity, but because of consistency. If you ever feel lost or unsure or stuck, return to the basics. Return to your habits. Check your tracker. Find the weak spot. Fix the inconsistency. Start the chain again. The solution is rarely some new strategy or secret insight. It's usually a return to what works. Small, steady action tracked with care and done without exception. Discipline doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. It requires honesty. It requires that you stop hiding from your results and start facing them with courage. That courage grows each time you choose to show up, even in a small way. And the chain you build becomes the structure that carries you forward when willpower fades. Track your habits because your future depends on it. Never break the chain because the chain is more than a system. It's your promise to yourself. And each day you keep that promise. You take control of your life, one mark at a time. Chapter 7. Set brutal deadlines and hold yourself accountable. A goal without a deadline is just a wish dressed in illusion. People talk about what they want to achieve, but they rarely commit to when it must be done. Without a brutal, non-negotiable deadline, the mind plays tricks. It tells you there's always time. It convinces you that tomorrow will offer more energy, more clarity, more desire, so you wait. You drift. You plan endlessly and execute sparingly. And in that gap between intention and action, your potential slowly decays. The only thing that forces urgency is time pressure, not soft, flexible time. Hard deadlines, brutal ones, dates you don't move, limits you don't bend, and it is in that constraint where discipline is born and growth is accelerated. Most people don't fail because they lack skill. They fail because they lack urgency. They think time is abundant, so they stretch their work across days and weeks. They start but never finish. They dabble, pause, restart, and drift again. But when you give yourself a harsh deadline, something shifts. You start thinking differently. Your actions become sharper. You cut the unnecessary. You stop negotiating with laziness. You begin to operate with a level of focus that only time scarcity can create. The clock becomes your mirror. It shows you exactly how seriously you're taking your life. Deadlines eliminate excuses. You can't delay. You can't perfect endlessly. You can't spend days organizing without producing. When the countdown is real, you are forced to deliver, and delivery builds confidence. Finishing on time teaches you to trust yourself. It proves you can move even when it's uncomfortable. Most importantly, it develops an inner pressure that doesn't depend on external reminders. You stop waiting to feel ready. You stop asking for permission. You start doing because you said you would. And that kind of integrity is rare and valuable. You don't need someone to scream at you. You don't need punishment or praise. What you need is to honor your own word. Say what you'll do and by when, and do it. Every time you break that agreement with yourself, you reinforce weakness. You show yourself that your promises are optional. And every time you meet your deadline, you carve a deeper groove of self-discipline. You teach your brain that discomfort is not a barrier. It's just part of the process. Accountability begins with that inner contract. To set a brutal deadline, you must be honest. How long does it truly take to finish that task? Not how long it takes when you're distracted, half engaged or stalling. How long does it take when you're focused and determined? That's the real estimate. Use that number and subtract time, not add it. Deadlines should challenge you, not accommodate your comfort. You don't grow by giving yourself more room to procrastinate. You grow by tightening the schedule until your only choice is to act. That squeeze creates speed, and speed sharpens the mind. When you've set the deadline, make it public. Share it with someone who won't let you off the hook, someone who won't soothe you with soft words or let you wiggle out with weak justifications. Accountability demands visibility. It's easy to lie to yourself in private. It's harder when someone else is watching. You need that pressure. Not because shame is useful, but because friction exposes truth. When you know someone will ask, "Did you finish?" you think twice before delaying. You take your commitments more seriously. You start acting like your results matter. Track your deadlines visibly. Use a whiteboard, a wall chart, a daily countdown. Make it impossible to forget. The mind loves to ignore uncomfortable targets, so you must keep them in your face. That discomfort is a signal that you're taking your work seriously. If your deadlines feel too easy, you're not growing. If they feel too distant, you'll start tomorrow. But if they feel real, urgent, sharp, and approaching fast, you'll stop overthinking and start executing. And that's where progress happens. Discipline lives in the moments when you want to delay, but don't. Those moments are shaped by the strength of your deadlines. If your mind knows there's room to escape, it will take it. But if your schedule offers no exit, your energy shifts. You stop looking for comfort. You begin looking for ways to finish. You prioritize. You cut distractions. You act now, not later. And when you finish on time, even if it's not perfect, you learn something powerful. Your will is stronger than your resistance. Holding yourself accountable means no more negotiating with weakness, no more rescheduling because of mood or convenience. If the deadline is today, it gets done today, even if you're tired, even if the conditions aren't perfect, even if the result isn't flawless. The habit of honoring deadlines builds the character that success requires, because in the real world, no one cares how you feel. They care whether you delivered, and the most successful people deliver not because they feel like it, but because they made a decision and followed through. Start with small deadlines and expand. Give yourself 2 hours to finish a task that used to take all day. Give yourself 1 hour to clean up your inbox, 30 minutes to write that email, 15 minutes to start the thing you've avoided for weeks. Make the deadline sharp. Hit it, no matter what. Then build from there. Over time, your tolerance for pressure increases. Your ability to finish improves. Your speed and clarity grow. And eventually, brutal deadlines no longer feel brutal. They feel normal, because you've changed. Most people never know what they're truly capable of because they never push past their own softness. They avoid hard limits. They float in endless planning and never reach done. Don't be that person. Set the deadline. Chase it with everything you've got. Hold yourself to it, even if no one else will. And when it's done, do it again. Over and over, until discipline becomes identity. That's how you move from potential to power. Not someday. Now. Not later. Today. Chapter 8. Surround yourself with people who demand your best. Who you spend your time with will determine what you become. Not just in theory, but in every moment, choice, and habit. The people around you shape your standards. They influence your energy, your beliefs, and your behavior more than you're willing to admit. If you surround yourself with those who expect little, you'll shrink. You'll lower your bar to match their pace. You'll start accepting mediocrity because no one is pushing you to rise above it. But if you choose to stay close to those who expect more, who live with discipline, who pursue growth relentlessly, you won't be able to stay the same. Their presence will force you to evolve or leave, and that pressure is exactly what most people are missing. Comfortable relationships often become the reason people remain stuck. Friends who excuse your laziness, family members who validate your procrastination, colleagues who bond over shared excuses. These dynamics feel safe, but they're dangerous. They keep you at your current level by never challenging you to rise. You start adjusting your dreams to fit their expectations. You stop reaching. You stop pushing. You tell yourself you're doing fine because the people around you aren't growing either. It becomes a slow decay, a life where you're busy but not better. To grow, you need people who challenge your excuses. People who don't clap for every small effort but ask why you're not pushing further. People who are building something in their own lives and expect you to do the same. Their presence won't always feel good. At times it will sting. It will highlight your inconsistencies. It will force you to confront your own lack of effort. But that tension is where transformation begins. You don't improve by being told you're enough. You improve by being reminded there's more in you. Seek out those who live with integrity. Those who don't just talk but do. Those who wake up early, train hard, work with focus, and hold themselves to a high standard. Their habits will influence yours. Their mindset will sharpen yours. Being around them will make it uncomfortable to settle. You'll feel a quiet pressure to level up, not because they demand it directly, but because their way of living exposes the gap between potential and performance. That kind of environment can change the trajectory of your entire life. It's not about finding perfect people. It's about finding people who are committed to progress. People who reflect what discipline looks like in action. Who aren't distracted by every new trend. Who aren't pulled in every direction. Who aren't wasting time complaining. Their focus will become contagious. Their discipline will become your mirror. You'll start measuring yourself not by how you feel, but by what you finish. And slowly your standard for yourself will rise, not because someone forced you, but because your environment no longer tolerates your weakness. Sometimes the most powerful support doesn't come from encouragement, but from expectation. When someone close to you believes in your ability, they don't accept your excuses. They don't let you lower your goals. They remind you what you said you wanted, and they hold you to it. That accountability can feel uncomfortable, but it's honest. It cuts through the noise, and it shows you what true support really looks like. It's not people who make you feel good, it's people who make you better. You need to be around people who are not impressed by your potential, but interested in your results. Potential means nothing without proof. Everyone has dreams. Everyone talks about what they're going to do. Few actually execute. The right people won't praise you for intentions. They'll ask what you've completed. They'll ask what action you've taken. And that question alone can reset your mindset. Because once you surround yourself with people who are driven, it becomes harder to pretend you're doing your best when you're not. This doesn't mean cutting everyone out of your life. It means being intentional about who gets your time, your energy, your attention. Keep your circle small but serious. Choose people who don't just accept you but inspire you. People who hold themselves to a higher standard. People whose lives are proof of discipline and direction. You'll know you're in the right company when you feel challenged, not coddled. When your excuses stop working. when your days become sharper because your environment won't let you drift. If you can't find those people immediately, become that person yourself. Raise your own standard. Live with discipline. Push your limits daily. That energy will attract others on the same path. And when you meet them, you'll recognize them by their habits, not their words. They'll talk less and do more. They'll build without broadcasting. They'll be consistent without applause. Being in their presence will feel different. It won't be loud. It won't be flashy. But it will be powerful. And it will demand your best. The people around you are either watering your ambition or draining it. There's no neutral influence. Every interaction either builds your momentum or breaks it. Every conversation either sharpens your clarity or dulls it. So protect your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. If you allow mediocrity into your daily life, you'll absorb it. You'll start thinking average is acceptable. But if you surround yourself with people who wake up with purpose, who grind without needing motivation, who show up with consistency, then you'll begin to expect more from yourself too. It's easy to fall into the trap of loyalty, staying close to people simply because you've known them a long time. But time doesn't equal growth. Shared history doesn't guarantee a shared future. If the people around you are stuck in patterns you're trying to escape, you must make a decision. You can either stay loyal to your comfort zone, or you can stay loyal to your evolution. But you can't have both. Growth demands change. It demands new conversations, sharper connections, stronger influences. You don't need a crowd. You need alignment. One or two people who genuinely push you forward are worth more than 100 who passively hold you back. And if you can build a circle where growth is normal, where effort is expected, where results are celebrated, you'll never go back. You'll lose your taste for laziness. You'll stop needing external validation. You'll start chasing your goals, because that's just how people like you live. And that shift in identity is where the real transformation begins. Discipline is hard, consistency is harder, but trying to do it alone, surrounded by people who don't care about growth, is almost impossible. You're not supposed to carry this burden by yourself. You need others who remind you who you're trying to become, who won't let you quit, who keep showing up so you have no excuse not to. Because when you're surrounded by people who demand your best, you stop asking what's easy and start asking what's necessary. That's the difference between staying the same and becoming something more. Chapter 9. Remind yourself daily why quitting is not allowed. Every day you wake up, there's a moment when you decide who you're going to be. It happens quietly, sometimes without notice, but it's always there. That choice, whether to keep going or to let up, defines the direction of your life. Quitting often doesn't come in one big moment. It shows up in small decisions, tiny compromises, silent retreats from things that once mattered. That's why you must remind yourself constantly of why you started and why you're not allowed to stop. The path you're on has meaning, and no matter how tired, frustrated, or uncertain you feel, giving up isn't an option if the goal still matters. You made a promise to yourself when you began. It wasn't for show, it wasn't for anyone's approval. It was because you wanted to prove something to yourself more than to the world. That version of you who took the first step, who pushed through doubt to begin, didn't expect it to be easy. That person expected resistance. And now that you're in it, it's not about motivation anymore. It's about commitment. It's about looking at your own reflection and saying, this matters enough to endure the hard parts. You will have days when it doesn't feel worth it. You will have mornings where everything feels heavy, and evenings where progress seems invisible. In those moments, quitting whispers louder. It tries to sound reasonable. It tells you you've done enough, that maybe this isn't for you, that perhaps you should change paths. But those voices don't come from truth. They come from fatigue. They come from fear. And you must learn to respond with clarity. You must remind yourself that feelings are temporary, but regret lasts. There is a version of your life that only becomes real if you don't stop. That version exists on the other side of hard days, not instead of them. You're not being tested because you're weak. You're being tested because you're close to growing into someone stronger. Quitting ends that process before it finishes its work. It closes the door before the reward can arrive. That's why you need reminders, not external ones, written on your mind, built into your routine, reasons that pull you forward when your strength is running low. You must have a reason that makes quitting feel disrespectful, not to others, but to yourself. You didn't come this far to start over again. You've carried too much. You've sacrificed. You've grown through failure, discomfort, and effort most people never see. That journey deserves respect, and the only way to honor it is to continue. Quitting now isn't relief. It's betrayal. It's erasing the lessons you paid for with time and struggle. Remind yourself of the weight of that. Remind yourself of what it would mean to walk away from something that still matters. When everything in you wants to give up, go back to the original vision, not the fantasy. The purpose. Why did you start? What was missing in your life? What were you trying to change, fix, or create? If that reason still holds power, then quitting is not allowed. Because if the purpose still lives, then the path still calls. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get everything right. You just need to stay in motion. One more step, one more try, one more reminder that you're not here to settle. Your mind will try to protect you from difficulty. It will present quitting as the safest option. But growth doesn't happen in safety. Progress doesn't bloom in ease. Everything you admire, discipline, strength, clarity, resilience, those are born from refusing to walk away. Every successful person you've looked up to was once on the verge of stopping, but they didn't. They stayed. They fought through doubt. They learned how to keep going when it didn't feel good, and that's what made them strong. Not talent, not luck. Persistence. You must train yourself to remember the consequences of quitting, not as punishment, but as clarity. If you stop now, what happens? What dreams get left behind? What potential stays locked inside you? What opportunities never appear because you weren't there to receive them? That's the reality you must hold in your mind. Because quitting is not just leaving something behind. It's choosing an alternate life. One with fewer risks, but also fewer rewards. One where safety costs you your potential. Every time you keep going when it's easier to quit, you strengthen something inside you. Not just discipline, but identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't flinch at discomfort. That identity becomes armor. It makes future challenges easier to face, because you've built a track record with yourself. You've shown that you don't back down. That belief, built through action, becomes your foundation. There's nothing glamorous about persistence. It's not exciting. It's quiet, lonely, and often invisible. But it's powerful, because in a world where most people stop when it's hard, the one who keeps going stands out. Over time, that consistency compounds. Not in overnight wins, but in undeniable results. And when those results arrive, they bring a confidence that can't be faked. A strength that can't be taken. A life that was earned. If you feel like quitting, that's not weakness. It's human. What matters is what you do with that feeling. Will you let it control you, or will you let it pass? You don't need to feel strong to stay the course. You just need to choose not to give up. That decision made repeatedly will transform everything. So every day, remind yourself of the work you've put in. Remind yourself of the vision you still believe in. Remind yourself that discipline is your anchor, not your mood. And most of all, remind yourself that quitting is not an option. Because the moment you let yourself walk away is the moment you tell yourself that pressure means stop. But you're not that person. You were never meant to be. You were built for more. Your mind may resist. Your body may tire, but your will can remain. And that will is forged every day. You remind yourself what you're doing this for. So hold the line. Keep your word. Finish what you started. Not because it's easy, but because it's right. And because the version of you on the other side of this fight will look back and thank you for not walking away. Chapter 10. Review your progress and adjust your effort weekly. Progress isn't made just by working harder. It's made by working smarter. And you can only work smarter if you stop often enough to reflect on how you're actually doing. Most people assume that effort alone guarantees improvement, but that's only half the equation. The other half is examination, honest, consistent, and specific. Without that, even the most determined action can veer off course. You need a checkpoint, a recurring conversation with yourself that asks one thing: are you getting closer or just staying busy? Taking time every week to look back at what you've done isn't optional if you want to grow. It's the anchor that keeps you from drifting. In just a few quiet minutes, you can see what worked, where momentum stalled, and where energy needs to be redirected. The process itself doesn't need to be complicated. What matters is that you do it regularly, and that you're willing to see things as they are, not as you hoped they'd be. The more honest you are, the more powerful this review becomes. Too often, people are afraid to measure their progress because they don't want to face the possibility of falling short. But ignoring the truth never fixes anything. Avoiding feedback doesn't protect your confidence, it weakens your foundation. The strength you need comes from confronting your patterns, not running from them. If your effort isn't leading to results, something needs to change. That change can only begin once you pause long enough to notice where the current strategy is falling short. A weekly review isn't about punishment, it's about clarity. When you look at your week with intention, you begin to understand your habits, your distractions, your tendencies. You see how your time was spent, and whether that time honored your priorities. Sometimes you'll realize you gave too much energy to the wrong tasks. Other times you'll see how a few small wins added up to real progress. But either way, you're learning, you're not guessing. And when you stop guessing, you start evolving. Once you've reviewed, the next step is just as important. You must adjust. Reflection without action is just journaling. You need to take what you've seen and apply it forward. That may mean cutting out low-value tasks or shifting your focus to the things that actually move the needle. It could mean setting stronger boundaries or redistributing your time to match your goals more closely. Every adjustment you make is a course correction, a refinement that makes your path more direct. There's a difference between staying busy and making progress. You may be exhausted by the end of the week, but if your effort didn't create traction, that exhaustion was misplaced. That's not a failure, it's feedback. Your goal is not to do more, but to do better. And the only way to do better is to stay in close contact with your own performance. The more consistently you track your inputs and outcomes, the faster you can identify what actually works for you. Many people drift from week to week, hoping momentum will carry them, but momentum without direction fades. A weekly review is how you reclaim your direction. You look at what moved you forward, what held you back, and what didn't matter at all. You're not reacting to emotion anymore. You're building based on evidence. You're shaping your future from a position of awareness, not guesswork. When you review, don't just look at what you did. Ask yourself how you showed up. Were you mentally present? Were you focused or distracted? Did you approach your commitments with purpose or out of habit? This isn't about judging yourself. It's about understanding yourself. You're training your awareness so that your actions can be sharper, cleaner, more effective. That's how growth compounds. You also need to ask what you're avoiding. Every week there's at least one task you pushed aside, one challenge you postponed. Why? Was it fear, uncertainty, boredom, or overwhelm? Your success is tied to how you handle resistance. If you're always drifting away from the hard things, your review will show a pattern of avoidance. That's where your energy needs to go next week. Not toward comfort, but toward the obstacles you've been dodging. When you adjust your effort, think in terms of precision, not just volume. More hours don't always equal more results. Sometimes the best shift you can make is simplifying your process or eliminating distractions that eat your mental energy. The review helps you spot the leaks, and adjusting your effort is how you plug them. Every week is a new chance to refine your execution. Don't forget to measure what's working. Positive feedback is just as important as identifying flaws. If something you did paid off, make it repeatable. Strengthen that habit. Build it into your structure. Momentum grows when you build on success. And the more you build on the right things, the more effortless your growth becomes. Adjustments aren't always corrections. Sometimes they're amplifications, intentionally doing more of what already gets results. One of the most powerful parts of this practice is that it builds self-trust. You stop relying on hope or vague motivation. You start proving to yourself that you're paying attention, that you're learning, adapting, and improving with purpose. You know where you stand. You know what needs work. You're not guessing anymore. You're building a strategy, week by week, that fits your reality, not someone else's system. Even when your progress feels slow, the review shows you the full picture. You may not see the outcome yet, but you'll see the effort, the patterns, the subtle wins. That keeps you grounded. It reminds you that forward movement isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet and steady, but it's there, and by reviewing and adjusting, you make sure it keeps going. Without reflection, effort becomes noise. Without adjustment, repetition becomes a trap. But when you combine honest review with thoughtful changes, you turn every week into a step forward. You stop wasting time. You stop repeating mistakes. You get sharper. You get stronger. You begin to operate with clarity, and that clarity builds confidence because you're no longer moving blindly. You're evolving with intent. Every week, no matter what happened, the review is a reset, a new starting line. You're not trapped by your past performance. You're informed by it. That's how you stay agile. That's how you grow. You reflect. You adjust. And then you move, faster, cleaner, and more deliberately than before.